We're live, but I'm waiting for my computer to update so I don't echo.
I'm still trying to learn all this stuff too, man.
I don't know. Maybe someone who's watching can give me some pointers of how not to make that happen.
Hey, this is cool. I can see that we're live on Facebook now too. That's awesome.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, top left. It says live stream on Facebook.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So welcome Facebook. This is Dan the Waterman. We are live for our first episode of Entrepreneur Boulevard in quite a while. I think our last live video got a little over 18,000 views. So we are live. Welcome to 2018. It's going to be huge. We have an awesome guest with us tonight. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell you about who you are and what you do.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I will sum myself up in a nutshell by saying I'm a keynote speaker. I'm an entrepreneurial person because I run a video production company, and also I've got an online magic business. And outside of that, I run communication workshops, and that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Awesome. So where are you from?
So my background is Vietnamese. Mum and dad are from Vietnam, but I was born in Australia. So born and bred Australian.
Awesome. Awesome. So a lot of your live videos, if you guys don't know, he's got like 50,000 followers on Facebook. So I'll make sure I put a comment. I'll post a comment to follow him on his page. But
Thanks,
tell us a little bit about your videos and what you've learned, because you talk a lot about communication, right?
Yeah. And look, I mean, if you look at it from the point of view, I think you and I are very aligned in a sense that, Dan, on my journey, man, I learned so many different lessons. So to me, I just thought, you know what, I'm going to use some of the money that I make from what I do to just hire a videographer full time to travel with me, and then to capture all the lessons that I'm learning and then to share them. So that's what I decided to do. And I think the root of that, the reason why I did that was because I just thought to myself, one day, if anything ever happened to me, I've got a little boy, his name's Xander. If anything ever happened to him, I've left breadcrumbs. I've left lessons that I've learned that have helped me get to where I am. I've left them for my children. So to me, it was inspired by that. And this year, moving forward, I'm actually focusing a lot more on communication because I'm realizing year in and year out how important it is.
Absolutely. So what are some of the lessons you've learned over the last? Well, let's start kind of where you began, right? So what was your first business venture? What was the first thing you really started?
Selling MP3 players at school to other kids. And this was the period during Napster. So Napster was around. I thought, holy crap, this is fantastic, because, at the time I didn't know it was illegal. Literally downloaded Justin Timberlake, 98 Degrees, Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, the classics. And then I'd buy these MP3 players off eBay and I'd sell them to my friends at double the price. And then I'd change songs on there for them for like $5, because no one knew how to transfer music on and off these MP3 players. So I was ahead of those guys at school selling burnt CDs. And that was kind of my first entrepreneurial venture. And I was probably the only kid that had cologne when I was 13. So, but I didn't get any of the girls. So I was a bit of a loser anyway.
That's funny. So after high school, what happened? What'd you do?
I really loved buying electronics online and then, making a margin on them. So I went to the Guangzhou World Fair in China, and I was about 18 at the time. I purchased about 50 grand worth of electronics back to Australia to sell them at a shop. So I started an electronics store while I was at university. So it was a crazy journey, man. Like, the stuff we were selling weren't approved by the Australian Board of Consumer Affairs. They shut me down. And yeah, lots of crazy things happened. Oh, I've lost you.
No, I'm here. I have 4 kids, and my 2-year-old wanted to come in and see what I was doing. So I had
Oh, that's cute.
I had to go and shut my office door so he didn't come in, because he would literally try to talk to you the whole time.
Oh, that's cute, man. That's awesome.
Alex Vang, Jennifer Gardner, what is going on? Roger Woodstock, James Jacoby, Dominic Provencher, John Huggins. Man, we got a lot of people jumping on.
Thanks for tuning in.
Jennifer, I appreciate you guys jumping on. Please share and invite. Are you on your Facebook, or can you see your Facebook right now, or can you see that?
Yeah, I can get it up.
Okay. So I don't know if we're friends or not on Facebook, but that way you can share it out as well. So
yeah, I think I can get the link from here and copy streaming link. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but I mean, like I started doing a lot of entrepreneurial ventures like that. It always to do with electronics at the time. And that just kind of got me, that was my outlet while I was at university studying commerce and law, which I loathed. I hated it. And it just gave me an opportunity. It was an outlet. I never knew that things like this, as in doing something you really enjoy, could be what you do for a living. Like that was never taught to us in school.
Right.
We were always told to do a professional career path, walk that professional career path route. We weren't told anything else. So
we were taught to be sheep.
Yeah, I really believe we are, because then that way there's no chaos.
Right. You know, if all the sheep are going down one path and they have complete control over everything that we're taught, right?
Yeah.
That's why everybody, when you're in school, they all do the same stuff. They read the same books. They all have the same assignments. The goal is to, you go to school, you graduate high school, you go to college, you make $40,000 a year, you be happy. That's it.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I have this fundamental belief in my life that the moment we're born, we all have this default script. It's like a book. There's a default stories and default paths that we should take, and we get handed it and go, yeah, just follow this default script. And I think the challenge is really, how do you get so much courage when you're 15 to have the courage to, instead of following a script, write your own damn story?
Right.
So to me, it was that consistent struggle between, I need to do what everyone says because that makes mom and dad happy and proud, versus I want to write my own damn story in my life. I want to be the author of this damn book.
Right.
And it was the fear of doing that, because no one supported you in doing that. No one said you should do that. So you're kind of, you're trying to do both. But at the end of the day, when you try to do two things, you get nothing done.
So were your parents supportive of you kind of going off the beaten path and doing your own thing?
It took a while, Dan. It took a while, man. Like I had to suffer, and they had to see me suffer going down the commerce and law route before they came around. Because when I was 18, younger, I kind of knew at the time at 18 I didn't want to do it. But at 18, talking to my parents, who were at the time in their mid-40s, to them, it's like, this kid doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right.
Too young, which was true. I think I needed to go through university. I didn't finish it, but I needed to go through it to know that I hated it. Because I think a lot of the times, especially a lot of the younger generation now, are making so many assumptions about the future. And then you ask them, have you tried it? The answer is always no.
Right.
So how do you know? So you got to try it. And then if it's not, it's like, to me, I believe in the easiest way to get through life, Dan, is trial and error.
For sure.
Trial and error, everything.
So for all the entrepreneurs and business owners that try something and fail, because it's inevitable, right? I think every business owner, every entrepreneur has tried something and it didn't work out. Right. So what kind of advice can you give to those type of people?
Well, I just quickly want to say that you have to reframe it in that failing is the price you have to pay to succeed. Like you really have to get that you failing, you need to go through that. Like I often have this metaphor where, imagine there are two mountains and you're trying to get from one mountain to the other side of the mountain. Most people think you can jump across and land there. But the most realistic path from one mountain to the other is to climb down this one, crawl across the bottom, and then climb up the other mountain, which is just filled with failure. But that to me is the price you have to pay. So it's a reframing that it's the price you got to pay. But the second thing I'll say that I wish I knew when I started out as an entrepreneur is a beautiful quote by Jim Rohn, where he says, you are the direct reflection of the top 5 people you spend time with. And in every culture, in every family, there's a version of this saying. Oh, if you keep spending time with those kids, you're going to turn out like just like them. Yeah. So what that tells us is that if you're starting a business in, say, like for yourself, water filtration, or for me as a speaker, if I wanted to be a speaker and build a speaking business, I need to spend time with speakers who are making money, who are doing well. And just by spending time with them, their knowledge becomes your knowledge. Their mindset bleeds over to you. They influence the way you speak. They influence the way you talk. They influence the way you think. Right. So to me, that is a huge lesson that whatever you're doing, are you doing it by yourself? Don't. Look for people who are doing it and who are doing it really well.
So what about someone that's in like a service industry, like an air conditioning contractor, a plumber, right? Where people in their industry may be competition, right? So do you find people outside of your general area and
Yeah, for sure.
talk to those people?
I always say this. I always tell people that, just because in the world of speaking, I don't just spend time with speakers. I spend time with entertainers. I spend time with comedians. I try to spend time with people who are great business people to make sure my content is better. So, but let's relate it to, say, someone who's an electrician. If you're an electrician, say you're a salesperson, you're going out and you're selling, or you're working on people's homes, go out and meet with the best real estate agent. Understand what they do and how they sell, how they're able to sell. Speak to another person who's in a completely different industry, who's a top salesperson in that industry, to understand that. And what you're doing is you're learning, because think about it. What is innovation, right? I love this. Innovation at the end of the day, because it's been talked to death. I mean, saying the word innovation is slightly nauseating. But when you think about the word innovation, it's just composition. It's bringing two things together that have never been brought together before. So if you're an electrician and all you hang out with is other electricians, guess what you're doing? You're forever moving towards market norms. You're never going to do anything different. But by spending time with one of the best musicians in the area, they'll say something about something, because they've got audiences, they've got customers. Learn from them. What's the best lessons you've learned as a musician on how to engage your audience? And then it's about sitting there and trying to work with what they say and go, how does this relate to my industry? And some things won't relate at all, but it just takes a couple of gold nuggets that will completely make you stand out from every other electrician, because you're an electrician that's seeking perspectives from all these other different industries. You'll create something new from that.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you. So next step, right? You started hanging out with the right people. Your business is growing. Where do you go from there? Like where have you taken your business from A, B, and C? Where'd you start? Where have you gone, and where are you going?
Yeah, and look, I think that's a really important. That's something that's really important for you to have clarity on. So let me just start here. Let's take my speaking business, for example, because that's the one I'm focusing on the most. So my speaking business, when I first started, I remember 4 years ago, my first speech I did for free. And then about 50 speeches after that I did for free. My first paid gig after 50, I got paid probably about $300 for the talk. And let's just fast forward to now 4 years later. Now I'm $18,500 a talk. I'll keep the show going for you, mate. So what's crazy is that what you have to understand is you have to know where you want to go. And I think a lot of people don't know where they want to go. So a lot of people start their journey with no idea of where they want to go, because if you don't know where you're going to go, how do you know when you get there?
Right.
And you see so many people implode. And they implode because have you seen the movie The Greatest Showman by any chance? Mm-hmm. So he's just this guy who had this audacious dream and this crazy goal, but it didn't have any clarity behind that. He just knew that he wanted to create experiences, make a ton of money, but then money is never enough. Fame's never enough. You keep going, and then he burns himself out. And then he realizes that, and when you think about it, the greatest kings that have ever lived, they know the limits of their power. The kings that die young are the ones that continually try to conquer. So it's, again, I think a lot of entrepreneurs suffer from this and no one talks about it, is that it's great to be aspirational. It's great to have massive goals, but what do you want? You got to know what you want. So what's next for the business after it's growing is you have to know what you want. So clarity, I feel, is most people's biggest problem. Most people don't have a lot of clarity with exactly what they want.
Yep, I agree with you. If you don't know what you want, what are you growing it for?
Yeah, but I mean, I was in that trap. 2 years ago, I've never made that much money before in my life, never had that kind of success in my life, but I was super depressed, man. I had to take like a 7-day trip to New Zealand by myself to recalibrate my mind, to ask myself, who are you, man? What the hell do you want? Why are you working so hard for?
Yep.
And it was scary. It was scary. And it was really difficult trying to gain that clarity. But after about 6 months, I really was able to achieve it.
And for the people that are watching, not everybody's goals and dreams are the same, right?
Yeah.
Like, not everybody wants to be a billionaire. Not everybody wants to be a millionaire. Some people are okay with just, living comfortably. being in a nice house, having 5, 6 kids or whatever, being married. You know, I mean, my fifth kid is on the way.
Oh, Dan, congratulations, man. Holy crap. That's awesome.
But I want to take over my industry, right? Not I don't want to, we are taking over our industry. So, I mean, just in the past 4 months, our business has quadrupled. So
wow.
we're just continually taking strides to grow. We're opening offices in 4 other states within the next quarter. So, but the point of that is everybody's goals are different, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Your goals are different than mine. My goals are different than people that are viewing, right? So you have to really find what your goals are. And then when you know what your goals are, what do you want to accomplish once you reach those goals? It's not a matter of just, I want to become a millionaire. Okay, then what? Like, what do you
Don't think about it from a financial point of view. Think about it from a how you're going to spend your time point of view.
Yep.
And I think one of the biggest mistakes I see people make during networking functions is they always ask the question, what do you do?
Yep.
And I think what somebody does for a living doesn't define them. What I find defines people is what do you do in your free time? So you just got to think about it from that point of view. You're like an organic point of view. Tim Ferriss has a great way of doing this. He said, just map out your perfect week. What does your perfect week look like?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think, and here's the thing too, whatever it is that you want as a goal, it's okay. I think too many people compare goals like, oh, you know, I don't want that, but it's okay if you don't want that. You can want whatever you want. And what I love the most is everybody's trapped in their own heads. We're all so worried about what other people think of us, but no one's thinking about you. Everyone's thinking about themselves. They're trapped in their own heads, freaking out about all these other things in their life. So trust me, don't compare yourself to others, and do you find out what you want and just do that.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons I was scared to go live, which we were talking about before we went live.
Yeah.
You know, I was so worried about what people were going to think about me.
Yeah.
I was holding myself back. I'm like, people are gonna think I'm an idiot because I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
But this is the thing. There are going to be people who think we're both idiots. There are going to be people who think we're absolute clowns. But it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, they think that for a second, and then they go back to their own lives and no longer care. Yeah, but think about how many people you're adding value to now, Dan. I mean, I think it's awesome what you're doing.
That's the goal, man. I mean, let's be realistic. Part of the reason I do it is because people connect with me that I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So that's part of the reason I'm doing it. But I'm doing it in a way that I'm bringing guests like you on, because you're going to create value for the people that are watching. Right. I'm going to create value for the people that are watching. So that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to help people.
Yeah.
Because people are so scared of being out there, being vulnerable to being lied. Because when you say something lied, you can't take it back. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people are really scared about. They're scared that they're going to say something that makes them look, maybe people will look down on them, or they'll seem vulnerable, or it's really real.
Like, but like you're going to, like, this is the thing. I always tell people, you're afraid of that. So just accept it. You're going to say something stupid. You're going to say something that you regret, but that's okay. We're human. We make mistakes. We're not perfect. I would not want to have a conversation with a perfect person, because it'd be so boring, man. You know, so to me, it's really about not being afraid to want what you want.
Right.
Yeah. And from an entrepreneurial point of view, what I think with what you're doing is really cool. And I do these too. I put videos out as well. And what's really cool with that, let's just look at it from an entrepreneurial point of view, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs who tune in, right? Is that it builds social currency. Right. I mean, it's amazing, because I meet so many people who talk as if they know me so well, and I've never met them.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden now you've got all these videos, Dan, floating around everywhere. All these people now feel like they know you. They feel like they're connected with you, and you haven't spent any time talking to that particular person. So all of a sudden now there's this great one-to-many relationship that's possible now, which I think is marvelous.
It's awesome. I'll tell you a quick story. So I door knock a lot. I'm kind of old school.
I love that, man.
Door knocking is free, right?
Yeah.
That's marketing campaigns that I can do locally, right?
Yeah.
So I was door knocking in a new neighborhood the other day. The guy answered the door and said, "Hey, look, it's Dan the Waterman. Come on in."
Wow.
I don't know.
That's crazy, man. It's Dan the Waterman. It rhymes.
Yeah, right. It rhymes, right? So But the reason he knew who I was is because he follows me on Facebook. I had no idea who he was, but he bought from me because he trusted me. I didn't know him.
Yeah.
So people will buy your products because if you're putting out good content and they know you're genuine, right? They're going to buy your products just because of that.
Well, people have to buy you before they buy your products or services. And I think you just pointed it out right there. And I think that's something a lot of people in today's world, they're forgetting, because as we're going so online, people forget that, in the real world, people still buy personalities over products. Right. I see so many people who buy from an insurance broker or buy from a particular service or product provider who they're not particularly giving you the best product or the best service, but they're doing it because they like the person.
Right, exactly.
It's crazy. So I think people, again, undervalue.
And I think part of the problem in our society is they don't believe that they're valuable.
Yeah.
They don't think that what they're talking about and what they have to say is valuable. So they discredit themselves and they do stuff for free all the time, right?
Yeah.
Because they're scared to put a value on their time.
But I think that's when people forget that they're unique, is that the way you grew up is unique. The way your parents treated you is unique. The friends you had, the experiences you had, it's all so unique, which gives you a unique perspective. And that's why I love speaking to everyone I can, because I know you have a unique perspective, Dan. You've had years of life before me and lived in a different country, different background, different culture, everything. So all of a sudden, you see the world completely different to how I do. Even though we think it's similar, there'll be problems that I have that you'll see as opportunities. So to me, unfortunately, I think people just have to, I fundamentally believe that we all need to broaden our minds by reading more. And the more you read, all of a sudden, the more valuable you also feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But people also have to realize at some point, you have to put down the book and actually take action.
Absolutely. For sure. I mean,
you can read all day long, right? A lot of the books say a lot of the same stuff, right?
Yeah.
But if you just read and you keep reading and you keep reading, but you never put that plan into actual action, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. But what I find is people don't even read these days anymore.
Right.
I find that people lack reading. I mean, look, I teach communication, but I can show you that these are the books I'm going to get through in the next, say, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right? And it's all about voice. It's about speaking. It's about voice. It's about voice exercise, about theater. But it's like, no matter what you want to do, no matter what industry you're in, if you have problems with lead generation, find the top 10 books on lead generation, consume them. And like Dan says, go out and execute.
Right.
But a lot of the times when you ask people, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? The answer you always get is, I don't know. But the thing is, everything you want to know is at your fingertips, and it might cost $10 to $15. But people don't want it that way. People want it fed to them. They want it given to them. And I think that's the biggest resistance, or where the friction is that's going to cause you to fail, is that you're not going out there to find the answers and then apply them.
And I think that's why there's been an influx of speakers.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't read. So when there's a conference where they can go and learn all this stuff for people that have already read hundreds and hundreds of books, right?
Yeah.
And they're already successful. It gives the people that don't like reading a place to go and learn without having to pick up a book.
Yeah, but I mean, it's effective. I mean, it's what I do, but it's not like I'm trying to talk myself out of a job. But what I'm saying is that your problems are so unique and specific to you, each person, that's where you go to. Like for me, I wanted to lose a little bit of weight, read a few books on exercise and health and fitness and how to eat. Boom. Like, again, it's crazy when I think about it, is that every single problem that I experienced in my life, I now in today's world can solve. I can acquire the knowledge to solve the problem that I'm experiencing. Even when I've got to run a video production company, I've got a crew of 10. I'm like, oh, the people don't get along. This is so bloody frustrating. 5 dysfunctions of a team, read it. And then you go, oh crap, exactly what that person's writing is happening in my team. Here's the remedy, apply the remedy, you get the result. So again, I think we overcomplicate things.
For sure.
And we like just to say, oh, it's too hard, throw our hands up in the air and go, I give in, it's too difficult. Because we're not willing to do the hard work to go find the answer. And that's the boring answer that we hate.
Yep.
So I think there's a real issue now in the world we live in today, in that people just no longer are students. They're no longer learners.
How do you feel that social media has impacted that?
Well, social media gives us a ton of inspiration, but it doesn't give us education. So what I find, it gives us inspiration and entertainment, which is highly addictive, and education isn't. Right. Education is kind of boring until you know what education can do. So a lot of the times we're not patient enough to go through an entire book or an entire series of 5 books to truly see the results that can bring. Instead, we're hooked on momentary inspiration and momentary entertainment.
Do you think that social media has been a positive impact for the most part, or negative?
Both. I think it's been both. And if I had to choose whether it's leaning one way or the other, I think it's definitely positive. I think there's more positive than negatives for sure. But I think the negatives, again, are pretty damn bad. For sure. Again, and the topic that I love speaking on is communication, right? So we are so connected via the online web now that the average younger student today, the average young adult today, can't communicate effectively in a conversation. Right. Throw them in a conversation with another human being and it's socially awkward.
Right.
I think that is so dangerous, because humans, if we completely rely on social media, then we're losing. I mean, why do people still go to conferences? It's because we starve human connection. Right. You know, I mean, even the people who purely live online still go in person to a conference because they want to see each other, embrace each other, connect with each other. So I think while social media is great, it does disable, I think, a lot of the youth in terms of their communication skills.
I mean, that's when you see kids texting each other and they're standing next to it, and they're right next to each other.
Yeah. Well, hey, I see adults do it now too, and they're emailing each other in the same building.
Right.
And it's, but then all of a sudden, what happens when you don't communicate to another human being? I mean, think about it. In jails, the worst form of punishment is isolation. Right. And I think what's happening now is there are days when I see some of my friends go a full day without really talking to anybody because you're just texting everyone, and they wonder why they don't feel good.
Right.
And because we need connection. We need to hear somebody's voice, because so much more information is transferred through a voice as opposed to letters.
Right. I'm gonna say this too, because texting or emails can be taken out of context. Right? Yeah. So you may say something and they may take it a completely different way.
Yeah.
You're not face to face. They don't see your body language. They don't see your voice inflection.
Yeah.
They don't see how you look when you're talking to them. Right.
I didn't see the smile you said with it, sarcasm. How do you read sarcasm? You can't.
You can't, not at all. So I've lost friends because of texting.
Wow. Are you serious?
Absolutely. Because they take it the wrong way. Right.
Oh.
I'm a little bit blunt. Right. But that's just part of who I am.
But I'm blunt with text as well. I'm just like, okay, cool. Yep. Yeah. Oh man.
But it is what it is. Right. So in social media, you have to make sure that you're interacting and talking with the right people.
Yeah.
Because if anything, there's no second chances on my social media, right? I'm always at 5,000, and people give me crap about it all the time because I'm at 5,000 friends all the time, right?
Yeah.
But one negative comment that I find that's negative, done. There's not a second chance. It's just done. There's plenty of people that I can interact with in a positive manner that I'm going to be able to get some kind of value out of, versus seeing something negative all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, I mean,
surrounding yourself, like you said earlier, with the right people.
Well, I mean, don't forget, for those watching this too, you can control your environment on Facebook. If someone says something that's very negative, like, I just hide their posts. I always do that. I mean, and to tell you the truth, I'm cutting back a lot on social media now as well. I mean, I'm more of a content creator on social media. I don't consume as much on social media. Just because I find that it just takes up too much of my time, and the only time I spend on social media is doing stuff like this. I enjoy this kind of things, but I've started to consume less and try to be more present with my family.
Yep, me too. That's why I said I haven't done a Entrepreneur Boulevard live show, I think, since November.
Yeah.
I pretty much took December off just to take it off and focus on family and focus on my business.
Yeah. And look, I mean, in the spirit of trying to add value in the realm of communication too, if there's one thing I can say to everybody, and it's basically this, right? Every single person who watches this, you have a unique way of communicating. There's unique things because what is our voice other than an instrument? Dan, you've got an instrument. You sound different to me. The way you use your instrument is slightly different to me. All of us have an instrument, and we need to learn how to use this instrument. Because whether you're trying to use your instrument to get more customers, whether you're using your instrument to try to find a lover, whether you're using your instrument to teach your children, the effectiveness of the impact that you're going to have on the people you want to connect with is all based on how well you play this instrument. And the craziest thing I've realized in my life is so many people go through life without ever learning how to play this instrument. And they wonder why people don't listen to them, people don't connect with them, people don't buy what they're selling, people don't listen to the lessons they're sharing. It's because you haven't learned how to play your instrument. If you sat down and listened to a saxophone player who doesn't know how to play the saxophone, you're not going to sit there and listen to that saxophone player. You'll go crazy. Right. You'll even tell them to shut up. So to me, I look at our lives as being, we need to learn how to play beautifully. Because why are there some people who say things to you, you don't listen, other people say it, you listen? It's because that person knows how to play their instrument well.
Right.
So to me, the best thing I can say here is that all of you who are sitting there right now in your homes, as you watch this on your devices, you know what you like in the person who plays an instrument. Every time you go to a conference and you see a speaker speak, you know what you like and you know what you don't like. There's a list of references you have in your mind because that's how you determine whether a speaker is good or not. When a speaker goes up on stage, you immediately think to yourself, oh, I like this person. I don't like this person. You already know. You have an internal list of things that you think are good or bad. But the problem is you've never applied those things to yourself because you don't see yourself. So what I'm encouraging here is everybody take the courage that Dan has and record yourself too. Record yourself for the sake of so you can watch it back. The only way to truly listen to your instrument is by recording you speaking, videoing, and then watching it back and going, oh, I don't like the way I sound because why? Oh, because I'm so quiet. Then you know you need to raise your volume. Or you go, but I speak with one tone and I don't change tones. Well, then that's a simple solution too. Change the notes, change the tones. And it's crazy that we never do this. And as a result, we never improve our instrument. And I've got a TED talk out if you want the full formula for that. It's just called Creating the Most Influential You. And I walk people through the exact formula to use to completely change the way you sound. It's absolutely unreal, Dan. And I hope your listeners get an opportunity to, or feel inspired to change the way they sound.
So that's a process that you take people through?
Yeah, no, I mean, I give the formula out on TED, on my TEDx talk. And what I'm saying, let me just give it here real quick as well. So when you film yourself speaking for 5 minutes, right? So you film yourself speaking for 5 minutes and then you leave it for a day. Don't watch it straight away. People who watch it straight away are too damn self-critical. Leave it for a day. And then when you watch it back, you have to watch it back very specifically. There's a slight formula to it. The first time you watch it back, turn the sound all the way up. Turn your back. Don't look at yourself. Just listen and take notes on how you sound. I'm not pausing. I'm racing through this. I speak too slowly. I need to change the pace, my volume, my notes. Too many ums, too many ahs, too many irritating words. Let's get rid of them. Take a bunch of notes. Then you turn around and you look at the video. This time you turn the sound off and you watch yourself and you take notes on your body language. You write down, oh, I feel too stiff. My hands are in my pocket. I keep touching my face. I keep touching my glasses. Take a whole bunch of notes.
Right.
I'm not using my hands at all. Then after that, you watch the sound and the visual together and you look for inconsistencies. So when am I really expressive with my body, but my voice doesn't match the expressive movements of my body? It seems unnatural. And when your voice is not synced to the way your body moves, people look at that and they don't trust you because they go, oh, it's inconsistent. It doesn't match. So to me, if you go through this entire process 10 times, you will be a completely different communicator from when you first started. And when you watch the first video compared to the last video, you're already now going from saxophone player who is playing a song no one can bear to listen to now you can hold a nice tune. Now you can play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and it sounds good.
I love that analogy.
Yeah. So, and that's the problem. That's the problem, especially in sales. I mean, I speak at a lot of companies for salespeople, and I say that many of you are here and the songs you play to your customers are woeful. Yep. Not only from a content and music notes point of view, but also from you playing it point of view. It doesn't sound good. You don't sound like you care. You got to show people you care before they'll even begin the process of trusting you. So to me, again, that's something that I hope, and if you want to see the full TED Talk, then go check it out. I think it'll really help you understand why it's so powerful.
I'll definitely do that. What's the link? Do you know the link to it?
Yeah, it's called Creating the Most Influential You. Let me get the link and see if I can get it to you. Creating the most influential.
And I'll post it in the comments so everybody can get it. So
yeah, good on you, Dan. Thanks, mate. Let me just get this for you here. Now, can I post this to you on here? Oh, yes, I can. Brilliant. There you go. Did you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. There's a great quote that I love where it talks about how, most people in life will go to their deathbeds without playing their music. Most people die with their music still in them. And, that's what I'm all about. I'm going to be doing my best this year to be creating a lot of content to help people learn how to play their instrument so they can go out playing their best song.
I love that.
That's kind of my passion at the moment and my vision at the moment. My purpose at the moment for my life is, Dan, I went from, people pay me close to $20,000 now to speak for an hour. And it's not because I'm amazing. It's really because I've been one of the few people who have tried and worked hard to learn how to use the instrument. And like you said, what am I saying when I'm speaking? I'm just sharing with people knowledge that I've read from the hundreds of books that I've read. So again, it's whether you are a speaker, whether you are selling a product that's going to change people's lives, or whether you're selling a service that's going to alter people's lives, you have to learn how to play your instrument to convince people that what you're doing is true. People are so sick of people who cannot play their instruments. Get a speaker that goes up who's boring. Oh, people, they die a little inside, Dan. It's crazy. So
here, this one right here, right? You have to learn how to play your instrument.
Hey, I like it. But you do. And I think that's where you need that's the first thing we all got to fix. Most people go through their lives playing terribly and kind of look at the world and go, why does everything suck in my life?
Yep.
And here's the scariest thought too. People tend to ask, people don't know what their personality is. When you get people to describe, what is your personality? Your personality is your voice. People perceive your personality 100% via your voice. They will say, oh, that person seems so charismatic. They seem trustworthy. They seem educated. Everything that people make, all the assumptions people make on your personality is done via your voice. It's scary how much rides on your voice. And if you go back to what we said before, if people buy people before they buy services and product, what are people buying then? If they're buying people, they're buying your voice first. Obviously the first thing is how you look, but then after you look, very quickly after that, all the judgments are cemented and confirmed via how you speak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's why, because I relate typically everything that we talk about on here, I relate to sales somehow, right?
Yeah.
So in sales, it's the same thing. Your voice and the way you talk and your voice inflection.
Yeah.
That's why people buy from you.
Yeah.
That's why people really begin to like you, because of how you're saying things, what you're saying, and they're really listening, because people buy for different reasons, right? But people connect with you first because of your voice.
Well, there's a whole world of meaning behind how you sound. We tend to think the only form of meaning is via our selection, our choice of words. Not the case. I'm part magician too. So sometimes I'll do a magic show. Every now and then I'll book out a theater. I'll do magic shows 4 or 5 nights. It's something I love. And they'll get 2 types of audience members that come up to me after the show. One that comes up and says, Vin, that was amazing. That thing you did with the box was bloody incredible, right? And then you get another type of customer audience member who comes up to you and says, Vin, that was amazing. Now, both people they meant what they said. Super dear, super awesome, nice people. Both meant what they said. But who was more effective at communicating their appreciation for the magic? Who was more effective at communicating their amazement? The first person. Right. And what scares me is that second person is going to go through their entire life not being able to effectively communicate their appreciation for the people that they love, not effectively being able to communicate that they're a trustworthy person because they are. And that's the saddest thing.
Right.
To me, that's the saddest thing. It's why I do what I do. It's why I love teaching this stuff, because, Dan, I just think that I've been able to improve my life and the lives of those around me tenfold because we've learned how to play beautifully, and we've been able to get the attention of the people we need to get the attention from, impress them, and then get what we want out of life.
I love it, man. But we definitely need to connect more. I know we're on opposite coasts.
Yeah.
But we definitely need to connect more. So why don't we go ahead and wrap things up? Tell everybody how they can find you, how they connect with you, how they can follow you.
Yeah, thank you. And look, thank you, Dan, first of all, for having me on here, mate. And I think what you're doing is great. I'm super glad that you got over that fear, because we wouldn't be having this conversation if it wasn't the case. But if you want to follow me, jump on Facebook, look up Ask Vin, which is AskVinh, and you can find me there. And connect with me if you want to learn more about communication.
Absolutely, man. Well, we will connect more. I'll make sure we stay in contact. I appreciate it, man.
For sure, Dan. Take care.
You too. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.